right, Joseph, we're going to hug him and have a good family reunion. They were terrified. Why? Joseph can get even with us for all the mean things we did to him. Wow. But listen, Joseph had been learning something. God had been teaching him about grace. And Joseph used this particular moment, rather than getting even with his brothers, he gave them grace. He gave them grace. And he sent them back home to get their father and for all of them to come and live in Goshen. And he was going to take care of them for the rest of their lives. Now, Joseph had that opportunity to be gracious. Sometimes I wonder how many times I've had opportunities to be gracious, and I wasn't. You know, there's something about grace, at least on the human level, and that is that grace benefits the one who is gracious more than the one who receives it. Do you ever think maybe something to try one time? The next time your teenager makes you mad, does something that they need to be punished for, that you might even want to spank them for if they're young enough teenagers. But you know they need to be punished. But instead of punishing them, you say, I love you. I love you. You may be surprised that it may do more for your teenager than anything else you've ever tried. And then again, it may not. But it is an opportunity to be gracious. Joseph had been gracious to his brothers, but grace is mistrusted. People don't believe it. How many people don't believe the grace that they have in Jesus Christ, but they have it? We have been saved. We have been forgiven. We have received the grace of God. And some people still think they've got to earn it, even after they've received the grace. Why? Because we live in a world that's this for that. And we think that way. Well, Joseph's brothers, they kind of thought that way too. And then it happened. Daddy died. Uh-oh. They started wondering, was Joseph gracious to us because he didn't want to terrify their father and cause an early death for him because of what happened to his sons? Maybe that's why Joseph was gracious. They didn't trust it. And so what did they do? They sent a message to him. Hey, our father, before he died, of course, you realize this is one of those fictitious things that people make up. He said, our dad, before he died, he said, listen, you send somebody and tell Joseph and ask him to forgive his brothers for their sins and their wrongs. And they did. And when they went to Joseph, Joseph wept. He didn't just cry, he wept. You know why? Because he thought his brothers don't trust him. They don't trust the grace. But Joseph reassured them. He said, listen, I have no intention of harming you. He said, listen, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, for the saving of lives. And he reassured them that he would take care of them and their children, and he spoke kindly to them. It was hard for his brothers, who were so used to getting even, like everybody in the world around us. You get even with people who wrong you. And that usually means that you hit them twice for the time they hit you. And no wonder that when Jesus was teaching that Sermon on the Mount, that people were flabbergasted. When Jesus said, if a man slaps you on one cheek, turn also the other cheek. Be gracious, don't get even. Be gracious, don't get even. That's the lesson this morning. And understand this. We have received the greatest gift of all and the greatest grace of all because Jesus forgives us for our sins. Can we not be gracious people? We're going to have an invitation hymn. The invitation is that if you haven't accepted Jesus Christ, you realize that, hey, you don't have His grace. But if you accept Him and believe in Him and trust in Him, we want you to come forward to be baptized into Christ and to indeed proclaim Christ as Lord. And the grace will be yours. Philip? Josh?
247, we'll sing first and fourth verse. Have you been to Jesus for the cleansing power? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? In His grace this hour, are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood, in the soul-cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Lay aside the garments that are stained with sin and be washed in the blood of the Lamb. There's a fountain flowing for the soul unclean. Oh, be washed in the blood of the Lamb. Are you washed in the blood, in the soul-cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Before we closed, Brother James Tucker, he had failed and was kind of bruised up and banged up, I think. So might want to check on him, make sure. We'll close singing number 82, Count Your Blessings. When upon life's billows you are tempest tossed, when you are discouraged thinking all is lost, count your many blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord hath done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God hath done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God hath done.